I'm going to attempt to tell the story of the Iliad. Call it an idiot's guide to the Iliad. It's such an important book that there's no way I could do justice to it, so that's why I call it the idiot's guide. Because there's scholars who spent their whole lives studying this book, reading it in its natural Greek, ancient Greek, and I've done none of that, so this is just a basic. This is the best I can do. The Iliad is my favorite book. You'll notice that this painting it's on the intro of all of my videos because it's my favorite painting, and it's a painting of Achilles being begged by King Priam to return the dead body of his son Hector for a proper burial, and Achilles looking down at him in disgust. Now, the Iliad could be interpreted as many things, but my interpretation of it was a story of pride and arrogance. There's my bedroom, and there's right at the top there's a painting. I got it painted on. I got the painting made on a canvas so that it appears to be like a real painting, and it's that very painting. So before I get into my amateur analysis of the Iliad, I'd like to give you some information about my childhood, which almost made the Iliad my predestined favorite book of all time. In 1986, Trojan was released on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I would have been 9 years old, and it was an awesome game. It was made by Capcom, who also made Ghosts and Goblins, etc. And all I know is that I didn't know anything. I'm 9 years old, right? I didn't know what a Trojan was. But the final boss was Achilles, and I just thought he looked really cool. So I always had a thing for Achilles just based on that. You know, the way some people have a thing for Darth Vader, I had a thing for Achilles in that kind of sense. Like, he was like a really badass villain. I don't like comparing myself to Kubrick because I'm so much better than him. However, Kubrick, I would say, I only started reading books after I dropped out of high school. And I must have been in 17, right? So this must have been... Well, 17 would be the year that... when I was 17 would be the year Kurt Cobain died. So that would be 1994. Yeah, maybe it was around the age of 17 that I first read the Iliad. I may have only read it once, but I've also, listened to a lot of lectures about it. But I'll basically tell you the story according to me. So first of all, that myth about, Achilles, when he was born, he was dipped into some, river that made him immortal except for his heel. That's more mythological than the book The Iliad by Homer. The book The Iliad by Homer is very, very gritty and realistic, where Achilles' mother is a goddess and his father is just a man. So he's a demigod. Achilles is a demigod, which I think means a half god. And for all of you who think this is going to be a boring book, I'm telling you, this book is like the most hardcore, awesome book ever. I got a friend of mine when I was 17 to read it, and he was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, the whole book is just describing brutal slaughters and men killing each other, and it's unbelievable how violent it is. Anybody who's seen the movie Troy, that was a very poor version of the Iliad, but I guess it's all we got. But actually, it gets a lot of bad reviews. It was fairly accurate. There was a lot of accuracies, and I basically told the story. Yeah, if you're too lazy to read the Iliad, watch the movie Troy. Now, before I got to give you one more preamble. There's a reason that this book has been so famous and lasted for over 2,000 years. So the book starts saying, "Sing to us, muses, of the wrath of Achilles." Not verbatim, but you know what? It might as well be because it's a translation. It's not. You can't read it in ancient Greek unless you're an ancient Greek reader, scholar. It's a dead language, Anyway, speak to us, muses of the wrath of Achilles. So it's already saying this is the story of the anger of Achilles. Okay, so it's 10 years into the Trojan War, and nothing has changed. The Greeks still camp outside Troy's mighty walls. The city of Troy has very, like, what do you call them? Unbreachable walls. So the Trojans are still holding fast, and both sides are spilling blood in the dust and under the gaze of indifferent gods. I'm reading a summary online, but I'm going to add to it. Yeah, but this is not the story of the Trojan War. This is the story of Achilles' wrath during just a few days. The book takes place over just a few days. So Achilles is the greatest of all the Greek warriors. He's second only to Hercules, perhaps. Probably, no, of course. Hercules was the son of Zeus, but he was also a demigod because his mother was human, I think. Well, obviously, Hercules, his mother was human because that's why he's a demigod. That's why he's a man. So the first chapter is basically the king Agamemnon, who leads the Greeks. He gets pissed off, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure. I remember the reason. He takes Achilles' concubine. See, Achilles captured a woman, a Trojan woman, who was beautiful. Because that's what they did back then. You know, you take the women, you capture the women. They become your property. Right? Women, I guess, were like on the level of slaves. And Agamemnon, in front of everybody, says, "You know what, Achilles? You're getting too arrogant. So I'm going to take your woman, your spoils, essentially. I'm going to take this from you, just so you know your place." And Achilles gets royally pissed off. He's about to even, like, kill King Agamemnon. But then I think, like, the goddess Athena whispers into his ear, "Don't do it now. Your time is going to come." And then sometime after this, his mother, Achilles' mother, I forget her name, she says to him, and she's a goddess, she says, "You have two choices. You can either go home and live a long life, a long happy life, or you can die a very young life. You'll die very young, but you'll die with glory, because you'll be the most glorious, figure of all time." And Achilles says, "Yeah, screw it. I don't want to live a happy life. I want glory." I should interject with the word, introducing the word pride in a new context. So basically, pride used to be a virtue. It was a virtue in Roman times and in Greek times. But after Christianity, pride became a sin. So you read this book, understanding the context that pride is like the greatest virtue. So, one of the best things, there's so many best things about this book, is that, okay, so the Greeks have to fight the Trojans now, and Achilles says, "You know what? Fuck you. Because of this insult, I'm not going to fight. I don't care how many Greeks die. I'm going to sit in my tent, and I'm not going to fight." And he just sits in his tent, and for the whole book, he just feels sorry, for most of the book, he just feels sorry for himself and cries. He's just sad. He's like what a jerk, right? Somebody did something mean to you, so now you're gonna let your whole fucking army die because you're pissed off, because your pride was wounded, right? It's a story of pride as well as wrath. So he sits in his tent, and the Greeks keep dying because the Trojans, they have their most powerful warrior named Hector, and Hector is just making minced meat out of all of them. Oh, and up in Mount Olympus, everybody's on Achilles' side. All the gods are on Achilles' side. And even Zeus is like, "Okay, I'm gonna totally let Achilles win this one. I'm gonna let all these Greeks die, all they're all on his side, and they're also helping the Trojans kick the shit out of the Greeks, in part because they're on Achilles' side. Yeah, so Hector, who's the son of he's a prince. He's the prince of Troy, and the noblest man. His brother is Paris. I should have mentioned. It's not mentioned in the book, but this whole war started because Hector's little brother Paris, like as in Paris, France. His little brother Paris stole Agamemnon's wife. Or no, not Agamemnon's wife. Someone else. I forget the name. That's how the brother of Agamemnon. So the whole war started because some little prick, banged a chick, stole a chick from a guy. Anyways, because with mostly the help of Hector, the Greeks are just trashing the Greeks. Did I just say the Greeks? The Trojans are trashing the Greeks. Yeah, I might accidentally here and there say Greeks instead of Trojans, because I don't even know what Trojans are, really. It's just a place. It's a mythological place. I don't even know if it existed. So the Greeks are losing and losing and losing and dying and dying and dying. And Agamemnon's like, okay, look, go to Achilles, tell him we'll give him his wife, his girlfriend back. We'll give him all the money in the world. We'll give him 10 more women. But beg him to fucking fight with us. We need him. We're dying here. We're gonna lose the war. And so there's several chapters where the wisest, the best talkers, especially Odysseus, who the book the Odyssey is about, they all come to Achilles and they we beseech you, don't do it for us, do it for this, don't do it for that, do it for this. And Achilles is just like, no, I'm not gonna fight. I will watch all of you die. My pride has been wounded, so fuck you. So this continues for basically three quarters of the book. Just all these fighting, Hector just slaughtering all the Greeks. And just lots and lots of fighting. Most of the book is just fighting. Oh, it's notable to mention Hera and Athena are both on Achilles' side. It's only Apollo who supports the Trojans. And Hera, if you know anything about Greek mythology, she's a fierce bitch. She's the sister and wife of Zeus, and she's very hateful. So basically, Achilles has the baddest bitch goddess on his side. So the turning point in the book, I think it's about 3/4 in, is when Achilles' best friend, Patroclus. By the way, Achilles' little group, his team, his tribe is called the Achaeans, and he's the leader of the Achaeans, and they're the fiercest. And I'm not sure if they fight during this book, while Achilles is sulking in his tent. But finally, Patroclus, Achilles' best friend, says, Achilles, if you're not going to fight, let me fight. And let me wear your armor. And if I wear your armor, they're going to think that the Trojans are going to be terrified because they're going to think it's you. I'll add here that from lectures I've listened to, Achilles in many ways represents death because he refuses to eat, he refuses to sleep, he refuses to have sex. So in a way, he's already dead. And his armor, in a way, represents death because everybody who wears his armor ends up dead. Okay, so Patroclus goes out dressed up like Achilles, and the Trojans do get scared shitless because they think it's Achilles. But the Trojans' most fiercest fighter, Hector, the Prince of Troy, fights Patroclus and kills him. And then Hector takes Patroclus' armor and wears it himself. Again, remember, Achilles represents death. Everybody who wears Achilles' armor dies. So now Hector's wearing Patroclus' armor. So when Achilles finds out that his best friend died, that makes him snap. And he says, "Okay, now I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna kill all the fucking Trojans." And then a god named Hephaestus, he makes a new suit of armor for Achilles, like the best suit of armor he's ever made. And the gods give Achilles this new suit of armor. And I think even before then, I think right when Achilles finds out Patroclus got killed, Achilles goes out onto the battlefield and he just lets out this enormous scream. And just from that scream, the Trojans run away. Just from his scream. So Achilles is just slaughtering all the Trojans, and they're just like losing now. And then finally Achilles faces Hector. And I want to actually read out the quote between this conversation that Achilles has with Hector, because it's one of my favorite parts of the book. Actually, I'll just say what I remember of it. Okay, so basically Achilles approaches Hector, right? And Hector knows he's going to die. He knows he doesn't stand a chance against Achilles. So he says, "Hey Achilles, look, can we just agree that if I die, you'll return my body to my parents, my home?" And Achilles says, Lions do not make deals with lambs. May the dogs feast on you. If only I had the appetite, I would carve you raw and eat you myself. So Achilles fights Hector and kills him. Hector, who killed his best friend. But that's not enough for Achilles. He's still sad. He's still crying about his friend Patroclus dying. So what does he do? Well, he does what any rational person would do. He ties Hector's dead body by the feet to his chariot, and he drags it around the city of Troy, like all day, all night, just dragging the body and crying the whole time, feeling sorry for himself. I mean, that's like my favorite part of this, is that all this death, all this suffering, and Achilles is only feeling sorry for himself for this whole book. Yeah, according to the online description, ties his body to a chariot, drags it through the dust. There's no honor in it, no glory, just grief, just wrath. So then, King Priam dresses like a ordinary civilian, and he sneaks into the Greek tent, which is unthinkable, right, for the king to do that, put himself at such a vulnerable position. So he crawls up to Achilles, just like you see in this picture, and he says, "Please, Achilles, please, just let me have my son back." And Achilles is like, yeah, Achilles is of course a real bitch about it, like fuck you, old man, kind of thing. But he shows him a little bit of respect, like, it's cool that you came here, you had the guts to come here, and okay, I'll give you your son's body back for a proper burial. And then I think Priam asks him for a little something more, and Achilles goes, "Watch it, old man. My generosity only goes so far. I might kill you right now if you ask for it, you little fucker. You mind you bad dog. You better behave yourself, or I'll fuck you up just like I fucked your son up." So it's funny that, like, even though Achilles is finally showing some mercy, he's still like giving mercy on various like certain terms, like yeah, I'll give you your son's body back, but don't ask for anything more, fuckhead. And that's basically how the story ends, or we would call it a poem, because if you didn't know this, all literature was called poetry until like the 1600s. There was no such word as like literature or books, or it was just, everything was called poetry. Now, Plato, or Socrates, aka Socrates, in his argument about kicking out the poets, he gave Achilles as an example. He said, we can't have books where a character acts like this. Because what kind of lesson does that teach? But that's exactly why I love this book more than any book. Because it's just, he's the opposite of a hero. He does everything wrong. It's evil as hell. And I guess, I don't want to say it means I'm evil as hell because I like a book that's evil. This book is more than just evil. It also, calls back to a previous just whole way of thinking, whole different set of values, the old-time Greek values, pride, honor, things like that, right? So, yeah, that's the end of my review. I'm going to make a few comments about the Odyssey, which is the other book Homer's famous for. I think it's the only other book he wrote, certainly the only other book that's been recovered over 2,000 years. The Odyssey, compared to the Iliad, it sucks, but it's still a great book. It's just that the Iliad is that good, right? And the Odyssey is about Odysseus, who is he's not nearly as powerful as Achilles. He's nothing compared to Achilles, but he's very, very, very smart, and he's a very, very good, rhetorician. He's very good at speaking and convincing people of things. And Christopher Nolan is apparently making a movie about the Odyssey, which should be interesting because I don't think Christopher Nolan is talented enough to make a movie out of the Odyssey. I think if he had real balls, he should do the Iliad. Yeah, I don't know. Good luck with the Odyssey. I don't know. I guess if you want, I can add basically what the story of the Odyssey is. Basically, Odysseus is on his way back from the Battle of Troy, where they won, where Achilles died. He recounts the story of the Trojan horse. And basically, on his way home, his wife is being overrun by these suitors, men who want to marry her. And so they're in Odysseus' house, and they're drinking all his wine, and they've taken over his house, right? Because they think he's dead. Little do they know he's coming back. And so by the time he gets back at the end of the story, Odysseus and his son, who I assume Tom Holland is going to play, Odysseus and his son just slaughter all of the guys that have been living in his house trying to get with his wife. That's the story of the Odyssey. Anyhow, if you liked this, comment, and don't like it, you click the dislike if you don't like it, but click something, and comment if you don't like it, comment if you do like it, especially if you don't like it. Yeah, it's a very shabby little 20-minute personal review of the Iliad. One of the best books ever written, and I don't even think it's arguable. And make sure, above all, to have a happy Easter Sunday.